Well, good afternoon, everybody, and happy Monday. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Monday, I know, it can be tough, right? You got to get yourself up and you got to get out to work and all that stuff, but it's only going to be what you make of it, right? So I hope you're making it a great one. As I like to say, make every day a great day as best you can, right? It's hard sometimes. I understand that. Just want to check, make sure we're live, actually, because I did have a problem earlier. On my earlier show, I do a show with my friend Stephen Healy every Monday at 12 o'clock noon. So bear with me just a moment here. Looks like all is well in this part of the world. Phew, thank goodness. And now actually let me go back and I want to share that. And speaking of sharing, we've got lots to share here today. Some great guests coming along. Let me just get this over to a spot where folks can see it. This is what happens when you are self-producing. So I'm pushing all the buttons now. Typing, and I can't even type right. Do you type like a typewriter? How many words a minute can you type? Speaking of typewriters. Okay, I'm all yours. I'm back. I remember in high school taking typewriter class. How many people remember typewriter class? Wow. Dating myself a bit. Who was that? Mr. Lewis was my typewriting teacher. You remember repeating over and over. ASDF, ASDF, LKJ. No, I don't type like that anymore. I'm fast with a couple of fingers that I've got. Anyway, thanks for joining, everybody. Happy Monday to you. I love Mondays, as I always say, because I always get some great people to talk to and discover here on the show every week. And if you can't watch live, that's okay. Don't worry. You can still watch the replay. Somebody asked me the other day, I was at one of the Sting games, and they said, how do I watch you like after? Just go to the page. It's still there. You can also go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dav Burrows. Here, let me put that up on the screen there for you. I would love for you to subscribe. There. This is that self-producing thing again. There's lots of things that happen there on the YouTube channel that you won't see here on the Facebook page. So head on over there and give us a subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notified as well. You can also go to my website, thevideoshownetwork.com or tvsn.ca or the show live. There's a bunch. The easiest one is probably this. Self-promotion, folks. You go to my website, tvsn.ca for thevideoshownetwork.com, and you'll see my show as well as some other neat and interesting things there as well. Some local news that I do receive, and I like to post there as well. You'll see some Sarnia Sting updates, gas prices. Oh, who likes to look at gas price? Actually, I don't even know what it is today, but let's take a quick look. Why don't we take a quick look and see what the gas prices are? So I'll give you, well, I'll just let you go there and do the gas prices. I was just going to say, like, I haven't noticed it outrageous. It's been under 100. It's been under 100. It's been under $1. I think I remember 45 cents a liter in the 90s. Whew, that was a while ago, but it seems to have been significantly down on a consistent basis. We'll put it that way. All right, welcome to the show this week. This week I'm going to be talking with our friend Jake Cherski. He's going to be joining us. He's well known for many things. Of course, you see him at the Sting games with me, and he's Philly Cheese Jake's owner. But he's also coach of the Sarnia Imperial football team. Many of them who have been recognized with some awards, and MVP Julian Shadd-Gentry is going to be joining us here as well to talk about the team and the awards and the upcoming season that they're going to be getting ready for. Also, my friend Don Adam, who is the executive director of Huron House Boys Home, is going to be joining us. They're they're in a little bit of financial trouble. They're having to restructure some things. They've been cut back hugely, and Don's going to talk about that with us as well as how you can help out if you're interested in supporting the boys' home. And then some friends of mine are going to talk to me about talk to all of us and share with you the upcoming Women's March for Equal Rights. An interesting conversation, so stick. That's what you're looking for. That's what you're going to be seeing here today on the show. But I do want to mention something special that's important. And actually, I haven't really talked to this lady in a while. Carrie Hendrickson, who is part of Pandas Disease, the local organization. Now, what is Pandas? Well, I couldn't actually, I don't want to try to pretend to impress anybody. 3 of Carrie Hendrickson's children have been diagnosed with pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorders associated with streptococcus. That's what I know, otherwise known as PANDAS, and it's led to frequent hospital visits, prescription drugs that didn't seem to work, and well, there's quite a story there. And actually, part of a documentary that she was involved with is on this week at a film festival, and the film festival is featuring this. It's called Stolen Childhood. And actually, let me just, the Sarnia Observer did a really good article on this. And anyway, they're going to be talking to Carrie Hendrickson on this as well and talking about the disease. You can go online right now for this week only. You're going to be able to go online. I'll just, let me grab my agenda here and I'll bring that up. You're going to be able to go online. There it is right there. I'll leave it up for a bit. It's a little long. You can go to Vimeo and download the documentaries, all of them, several of them, for $10. Right, so you're supporting that as well. So Carrie Hendrickson's actually going to be joining us on next week's show to talk more about the Pandas disease and more about this documentary that she's involved with as well for Pandas disease. So go check that out. I'll be posting that link after the show as well, so you can find out more about Pandas disease and the film festival that's featuring Stolen Childhood that Carrie's involved with. And again, looking forward to having Carrie here next week's show to share that. So thanks, Carrie, for sharing that information. All right, Sarnia Sting. It gets really tougher and tougher to talk about these guys because they're really having a rough go of it this year with the Sarnia Sting. Several losses in a row right now. They're going to get a chance to redeem themselves coming up again this Friday. But let's talk about, we're going to go over the recaps here right now. The Sarnia Sting recap last week, of course, they took on the Sioux Greyhounds, one of the tough teams that they usually struggle against, and a loss there of 4-2. It seemed to look pretty good in the first period, but then fell short at the end of that. And then coming up against the number 1 team, the Ottawa 67s this past week, this past Friday. It looked pretty good for them. I got to say, the Sioux Greyhounds come out real quick with a goal, and before you knew it, the Sting were in there tying things up 2-2, and the fans were excited and happy. And then things really took a hard turn for the Sarnia Sting. It was 10-2 final. And, that's hard to take, right? You've got some new players on the team. You've got some young players on the team. And we got a chance to talk with Coach Brad Stavitz after the game. And one thing I like about Coach Stavitz, I've been able to interview with him several times. He's very, very honest, and he doesn't pull any punches, and he's straight out about what the team needs to do. And we caught up with him after the game of the Ottawa 67s. I'm going to take you to that right now. Take a look, and I'll be back.
Here's what I found on the web for what the team...
Here, post-game with Brad Stavitz. Stabby, as I'm sure you guys are doing in there, is it a case to just put this one behind you and focus on tomorrow night?
You know what, I'd like to say just put it right behind us, but I think there's a lot to learn there. The message from the coaches after the game was, we felt we challenged ourselves to win the third period, and that wasn't the case. I don't think the work ethic was there. When we're challenged and put in spots, I thought we were playing a good first, second period. Okay, right? Things happen in a game, we're down. That's where you got to push yourselves to continue to, fight to the end. And it's a 60-minute game, and I didn't think we came out flat in the third. We have 2 shots. That wasn't good enough. And I think that's the message to the guys, that this league tightens up. It's harder to get wins. Yeah, that's a good team over there, but we're going to play other good teams. And especially in coming into playoffs, those are going to be the things. You might be down a game, but you work to the end because you're turning around and playing them again, possibly the next day or 2 days later, right? So a lesson we learned there before we move on. But with that all said, we got to right back at it tomorrow against Flint.
Starting with Cameron Lemur tonight, a lot of people might have said, why start him against such a strong team here tonight?
I think he had a strong game his last game. So it gets confidence in you. Again, he's competed. He hasn't got a win with us yet, but he's competed in every game, and we thought his last game was the strongest, and he deserved the start.
The last couple of years, team it seems has done a good job of sort of playing up to its opponents, matching their level. Why wasn't that the case tonight?
You know what? I thought it was until the third. You know, there's some bad goals, things like that, but that's hockey, right? You see that happen at all levels. But the compete and to finish out the game is where we lost it.
Now heading into Flint, what do you guys have to do in Flint?
They've been playing hard lately, right? They beat the Sioux last week. It's not going to be an easy game, and that's already been talked about. It's not one of those just if you look at the standings and you know their goals for and against, things like that. If you're a real big stat guy, you can't read into that at all because they're playing hard. They have team pride. You know they know their record, they know what they're going through, but they're showing up every night and working. So our work has to be match or exceed theirs.
The guys in the lineup tonight, what did you think of Anthony and Nolan?
I thought they're good. You know, Anthony's a big body, he moves well. He looks like a smart player, so we were impressed with him on that end. And on the back end, Dylan Morelli, I thought he stepped right in and played a confident game. He made some nice plays. You know, it's a tough one to come into. But yeah, he fit right into the mold. I like his style of play. You saw him get some hits in the game. He plays physical, but he also made a few nice first passes to break us out.
Good thing my friend Jay's here. So, as I said, thank you, Brad Staubitz, Coach Staubitz, not pulling any punches there, calling it like it is, coming after that game. Said he'd like to put that behind us, but there's a lot to learn from that game. They just didn't have the work ethic there. And I think you can probably hear me now. The work ethic there, and there's a lot that they need to work on. And this team's certainly trying to work on that. Then moving on, 6-2 against the Flint Firebirds. I don't know what to say about this team, Flint Firebirds. They come out last week, as Coach Staubitz said, beating the Sioux. The first time the Sarnia Sting played them this season, Flint had not won a game. 15 losses Flint had, and then the Sarnia Sting played, and they got their first win. We played them again, and another loss, 6-2, right? Everybody can hear me now, right? Somebody nod at me or yell at me. Yes, okay. Thank you, Jay Peckham. So we will be back live once again at all the home games. Of course, my friend Jay Peckham, who's out there today. Hello, Jay. And Jake Cherski, who's going to be joining us on a different topic. And often some other regular special guests popping in there. They'll be taking on the Erie Otters coming up next. So come on down. Give your support for that. I hope you'll be there. And again, as I said, that is Puck Drop against the Erie Otters coming up this Friday night, January the 18th. Sarnia Sting hoping to get another win under their belt. Got to do something out there. All right. Well, this past weekend was exciting on the Saturday night as Heavy Rescue 401 had its first episode of Season 3 this past Tuesday. And then on Saturday night at the Donnet Club, I was happy to be a host for Gary and Tammy of Preferred Towing. It was a Heavy Rescue 401 fundraiser. Gary and Tammy of Preferred Towing bought the old ABC daycare on London Road a couple of years ago and turning it into a housing facility, a youth transitional housing facility. And Heavy Rescue 401, the episode number 2 we were able to edit and show in front of 250 people at the Donne Club, and a fantastic turnout. And I'm happy to say $17,000 was raised that night in support of the Youth Transitional Housing Facility. So congratulations to Preferred Towing, another season of Heavy Rescue 401, etc. And it was a pretty emotional night, actually, too. I got to say, it was an emotional night for Tammy, as this is something close to her heart as well. And I know they want to say a special thank you to Lugnuts Truck and Trailer Repair, who were the title sponsors. I keep losing my ear here. Who were the title sponsors for the event of Heavy Rescue 401 fundraiser. Thanks to both of them for the family of Lugnuts Truck and Trailer Repair for their support as well. And then they did receive a grant also from what's called the Teletech Community Foundation, a $5,000 grant to help support this transitional housing facility, which renovations are underway. I do have a video that I'll show on next week. Actually, I'm going to post it on the Facebook page. So if you want to see the progress compared to last year, construction has begun. And Tammy has said they're hoping around the end of May, but they're saying definitely the end of the summer, that this will be open and housing 7 to 9 youth in our community. So that's fantastic. And I had my first guest available, Jake Cherski. I'm not sure where he went. So we may have to come back to him. I have my other guest here, Don Adam from... So Don, we're going to start with you, buddy. We'll see what... I'm sure Jake will pop back in and realize what's going on. I love the live world. It's not a perfect world, but we're here. Don Adam, Executive Director for the Huron House Boys Home. Thanks for being here, Don.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I guess this is sort of a tough conversation we're about to have, a frustrating one, I guess you could say. When we talked the other day, that's probably being polite about it even. The Huron House Boys Home, I guess, maybe just tell everybody what the Huron House Boys Home offers, a little bit of history, and then we can get into what's happening there.
Okay, so Huron House has been in existence since 1970, in operation. In Brights Grove, we are an accredited residential children's mental health center for boys aged 12 to 18. We currently have 13 boys. And we provide therapeutic programming, counseling, life skills, anger management, a variety of programs. We have an independent living program. We have a great staff team, a great board of directors, and great support from the community. Yeah, and I guess how many beds are there? Well, we are licensed for up to 28. Right. We're licensed annually by, the Ministry of Children and Youth Services, which is now changed to the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services. Okay. And we will move to the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care April 1st. But we are licensed for 28 beds, but we wouldn't want to go much over 20. It gets pretty busy. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a constant need there for what you're looking after, right? We believe there is, and a need to fund it. When the Boys Home first started, they were funded for 24 beds, and then it was reduced to 20, and then to 16, and then to 14, then to 12, then to 10, and now to 6. Don, this seems to be going backwards to the need. I mean, I have a personal love for the Boys Home for many different reasons. And I know several men my age now who have participated in the Boys Home activities, and things have only grown in the direction of we need more support for mental health facilities and living. And I mean, there's just a whole, and when we say mental health, there's a whole other sub list that goes under that, right? There is. We service boys with anxiety disorders, just a variety of diagnoses, autism, FASD, et cetera, and almost all of our boys have more than one diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And certainly children's mental health is becoming more complex, as is adult mental health, and the stigma is being removed, which is great. Because of that, maybe more people are identifying themselves as having mental health issues.
Sure.
And help is needed, but not easily accessible. 1 in 5 children have mental health issues. 1 in 5.
Yeah, and I like to say 5 and 5, or as a friend of mine said, it's actually 5 and 5, because everybody in some way, shape, or form is affected by mental health, whether directly or indirectly. And 1 in 5 is only the ones who's spoken up and took a survey and said yes. So it's probably higher than that.
And it doesn't indicate the caregivers and the effects on the family or friends or other significant others to that person.
So I guess this makes me angry, because I have a pretty good idea of what's going on there, the conversation of mental health, and what's happening with the services that you offer at the Boys Home. It's a constant conversation in our community. You can be sitting in a coffee shop or a McDonald's or wherever, and somehow the conversation of mental health and all those other subtopics just comes along with it. So why are we seeing this backwardsness?
Don't know about the backwardsness. About the funding for the Boys Home certainly is being diminished. On the other hand, about 5 years ago, the province moved to moving on mental health as a program, trying to move on mental health and provide services across all communities. There's 32, give or take, lead agencies in the province. St. Clair Child and Youth Services is the Lambton County lead agency for children's mental health.
Yeah.
There are 5 core service providers in Lambton County. We're one of them. And we have been working with St. Clair over the last couple of years. This has been percolating for quite a while.
Okay.
And the issue is that we need other services in Lambton County. I agree. I think everyone agrees. But there's no new funding for it. So they're asked, and they have the mandate to reallocate funds. But the issue is there should just simply be more funding for children's mental health in the province.
Right.
The Liberals made that commitment, the Conservatives have made that commitment, but we haven't seen the money.
So with that being said, I guess the money's got to come from somewhere, right? It doesn't grow on trees, as we know, and that's typically the biggest frustration for any nonprofit organization or charity that's out there, not just in Lambton County, but anywhere in the world. That's usually the priority. We need the money. So if we put more money into mental health, which I think is necessary, how do we find that money? We do have to take it from somewhere else, don't we?
The federal government have offered $1.9 billion to Ontario for funding, and the Conservatives are to match it. But David, I think it's in the long term, it's a good business plan. If we can prevent someone becoming debilitated by their mental health,
right,
we can help them become contributing members of society, and costs will be minimized
over time
and recouped. Right.
Yeah. Okay. So like an investment, I guess you could say.
It is an investment in our children.
Yeah.
And is there a better resource to invest in?
Well, you don't got to convince me, and I'm sure there's many that, it's where it starts. And me, I always like to talk about hope, right? And hope and impact. So we need to start this from the time our children are born. Then is that is how do we have that effect? Where does it begin? Where does the investment begin so that we can decrease the need for mental health services?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. As soon as the mental health is identified, I would say, it can be. We were having a conversation this morning at the FASD committee, the Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Committee, that they would like to have assessments on those youth done by the time they're 6, but there's no assessment for a kid under 6. So how do you do that? But the earlier that we can intervene, the more possible the intervention will be successful, and the better off the youth or adult would be.
Right. Seeing some comments out here, one particular from David Allen. David, thanks for joining us here. He's saying can't count on federal funding, sadly. We have to reach to outside organization sources. Has that been your experience, or how do you feel about that?
Speaking with Marilyn Gladue, she's committed or is advocating that the federal funding come from the feds to the provinces.
Yeah.
They have made that commitment. We actually recently, the Conservatives announced some adult mental health beds being added to the province, which is a start.
Yeah.
But it's not addressing children's mental health. And if the more prevention you can do, the earlier you can get them, the better the business plan.
Right. Well, yeah, and we heard, I think Bob Bailey talking, I think it was earlier today or yesterday, about farmers needing mental health support as well.
I heard that on the radio this morning. I'm not sure what that program looks like, but if they can reduce the stigma, that would be great.
So, but that being said, Don, so now we understand, or we think we understand children's mental health issues and that growing need. And then, you mentioned adults, and now I threw in the farmers in there, like more and more and more and more. That grows the spending amount. And again, we've got to keep finding it somewhere. So that's it's almost like an endless loop at right now. But like I say, you're saying we need to start it sooner so that can shrink over time. But it's not just it's not like a retirement plan, 3 to 5 years or whatever. Say it's like a retirement plan. 20 to 30 years from now, where do we prevent ourselves from being in the position or worse than where we are right now, I guess, right? And you're saying we started as soon as is it possible to do something with our children before it's recognized as an issue, like in the way we bring up our children? It starts at the home, that sort of cliche. Is that what it's all about too?
Of course. And St. Clair's is doing a great program with kids hockey and reducing the stigma and helping youth to identify when others have mental health issues.
Yeah.
And the earlier the identification, and if you can provide the right service at the right time, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah. And you're referring to, and I just happen to have Face Off.
Perfect.
Face Off for mental health. I got that 2 years from our friend Craig McKenzie, and they recently just did something at Legionnaires. I know they're going to be doing something at the Sarnia Sting in February. So, the agencies involved recognize it. But you say this has been percolating for a while. So obviously Huron House Boys Home has to do other things besides rely on the government for funding. So we know you do the fundraisers, but this isn't just a small cutback of a couple of percent. Okay, we got to cut back everybody for a while. This is 16%.
Correct.
That the boys' home are seeing a decrease from. So how, asides the boys in the home, what about the people that work there? I mean, this has got to affect them as well.
They, the board of directors, the staff, the boys, and the management of the Huron House are all working together to figure out where we can save expenses. Then we have to look at how can we increase revenue. And so the staff team, we all met last week. They certainly are aware of the situation, and they had some excellent ideas on where we can save money. We are very lean already.
Yes,
but we have to get even leaner, and it may mean that we will not be able to service as many boys as we currently service. We may even have to move. We talked about a number of different options. So
is where the boys' home located right now? Is that owned by the boys' home?
It is.
Okay, so that's a bit of an advantage.
It is not worth. The land there is not worth as much as we hoped it would be. We've had appraisals done.
Right. Okay. So there's some big options, and the number of the boys' home needed to operate monthly, I believe you've told me before, it's over $100,000 a month,
Give or take.
give or
Yes.
take. Yeah, it's that number anyway.
Yeah.
So there's I only point that out because I think people need to understand. I think they understand the importance of it. I'm not sure they understand the costs involved of it, right? This isn't just a lodging facility. This is professional people working in a facility to, they've gone to school, they've learned their trade, so to speak.
Correct.
And it takes, it takes us mums and dads and whatevers, but we're not the professionals either. We might like to think we know our kids, but.
And we have a clinical social worker and a psychologist available to the boys too. Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Don, I know this is this is probably a longer than a 15-minute show for you on this, and I'm sorry if I don't have more time this time. But is there anything that we haven't put out there just yet that you want to make sure we get out there?
Yeah. St. Clair Child and Youth is doing what they have been asked by the government as the lead agency to do. We simply disagree with how the funding should be reallocated. In fact, don't think it should be reallocated, but added to. The service, St. Clair wants to expand their walk-in clinic. That's very important. We want to have crisis services. It's not great for a youth or a family to go to the emergency department. It's not a great experience for them. We understand the need for that. We also understand and are committed to the idea that residential care in Lambton County is important. Our board is committed to that, and we believe that the community, frankly, is committed to that. And if I had one ask, I would ask community members to speak up, either on Facebook or to Bob Bailey. Bob's aware of this situation, or Mayor Mike, any politician, to say we need more children's mental health funding in Lambton County. Other counties also, but it's a good business plan to go to.
Okay, fantastic. And we've got the website for the Boys Home up on the screen too, Don. So viewers, if you're watching and if you want to contribute to the Huron House Boys Home, a good place to start is right there on their website. The Huron House Boys Home is also on Facebook, and their phone number's there. And Don, I know they can ask for you directly and you'll take their call if they have any other concerns, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's stay connected on this, Don. I'd like to do as much as I can at my end to keep sharing this story and make sure that it gets out there to the right people. And I think maybe there's some other things that I'd like to suggest to you as well. We'll have a phone conversation, and we need to keep the boys' home alive, and we need more beds and more funding. So thank you so much, Don, for joining us here today.
David, thank you for your support, and thanks to the entire community for the support for the Boys Home. And we hope that it continues as we become Huron House 2.0.
Fantastic. Don Adam, thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Our friend Don Adam, Executive Director of Huron House Boys Home, located just out in Brights Grove. I know people, I have friends of mine I went to school with way back in the day that were part of the Boys Home. It's been around for such a long time. It's really an important part of our community. I donate some of my time to them just because I believe in that. And I'm not saying that to impress anybody. I'm impressing upon the importance of this facility in our community. And as Don pointed out, they're not taking on anything against St. Clair Child and Youth Services. They're doing what they've been ordered to do. It's just 16% is a really huge cutback here. It's not just 2% and here and there. It's 16%. So affecting the lives of some young boys here in our community. So head on over to the website, huronhouse.hhbh.ca. You can find out more about the Boys Home and how you can contribute to that as well. And thanks to my friend Don Adam once again for stopping by. All right. Well, now moving on to our next part of the show. That was the first part of the show, but now he's the next part of the show. And we've only got one here. I don't know if I think Julian's messaging me here, but Jake Cherski is here in the lobby and ready to come on board. There he is. How you doing, Jake?
I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad. I've got hey, I'm in the lobby. So, no. Julian says he's in the lobby, but well, I don't know what's happening. Only when you're here, Jake.
Well, I can't even see you, so right now I'm just talking to myself.
You can't see me?
No.
Oh, look. Okay, we're going to refresh.
Are you refreshed?
All right. You see me now?
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
Well, I do know I did a show earlier today at 12 o'clock with my friend from the United Kingdom, and we were having some issues, and we did hear that they were doing some testing. So maybe that's got something to do with it.
Yeah.
And Julian's not quite here yet. So I'll keep I guess I'm multitasking here as best I can. So anyway, Jake, thanks for being here. You're a popular guy.
I wouldn't say that, but people know me, I guess.
Yeah. This time we're talking to you as the coach of the Imperials football team, and recently some exciting news with that.
Oh, some amazing news! They finally released the 2018 league awards, and Sarnia was well represented. So I'm pretty proud of the fellas for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's quite an accomplishment that we've seen the growth with this team in the last, I guess, even 3 years, right?
Well, you know what? I was looking at some of the stats and whatnot, and the last 8 of the last 9 years, the Sarnia Imperials have been able to reach the semifinal game in our league, and 2 of the past 3 years, we were actually we competed for the championship, for our league championship. So, I mean, the last 3 years have been very, very well, but when you look at it, just under the last decade, the Sarnia Imperials have been a winning team, and we're happy to represent Sarnia for that.
So what would you attest that to? What's how have you made that happen, or what has made that happen?
I don't like to toot my own horn, but I think giving the guys a good place to play, trying to keep our costs down with heavy fundraising, and because it's a pay to play league, so the players have to pay. I make sure that they always have the best equipment that we can afford. I make sure that we have some of the nicest uniforms, because that's a big thing for players. You play good if you look good, and we try to provide the bus transportation and do a lot for our players, and it's player motivated from my standpoint. So I think we need to treat them with a little bit of respect, and they kind of get back to you that way.
Well, that certainly goes a long way with players, and and I'll say I've talked to some people, and they like your style.
Thanks.
But I mean, coaching does have a big impact on the players, right? I mean, you and I talk at the Sarnia Sting a lot, and you talk with any team. It really has an impact. Sounds like you got some customers coming in there.
Well, just one guy who's a little bit of a irritable, I guess. So, but he's good. He's one of my players, so I love him.
Oh, okay. It's not Julian, is it? Did he run in there?
No. Julian wouldn't. He wouldn't drive all the way from Chatham to come.
Oh, is that where he is? We're still trying to get Julian.
Goulet, though. Do you want to say hi to Mac Goulet? There's Mac Goulet.
Yeah, sure. Come on, bring him over. Say hello. How you doing, Mac?
How's it going?
He's
bring him in a little closer. I want to talk to him. Tell him he's coming on.
Come here. Sure.
Hi, Mac. Is it
Matt?
So Matt, I was just talking with Jake here about the success of the Imperials in the last few years and the growth, and that's fantastic. Would you say that is it fair to say that Jake's had something to do with that?
I think Jake's had a lot to do with that. Jake's made some really big changes over the last 5 years. One of the biggest things that he's done really well, I found, was going out of town and recruiting people from the surrounding areas. I mean, that's a big part. We only have a pool of 75,000 people here in Sarnia,
right?
And he's reached out to as far as Windsor, Chatham, London. And he's brought some really big talent in from all around the area. So.
And what about the effect that he's had on you, the player?
Me? Well, he's always made me feel like this is a family. know?
Yeah.
So personally, I wouldn't leave the team if I wanted to, just because I'd feel bad like I was leaving my brothers behind.
Right. Right. So that's great to hear. Matt, thanks for joining us, and thanks on success of the Imperials this season.
No problem, man.
Right on. Well, there you go.
Well,
So that's, well, you know, I can say it, you can say it, but you know, that actually we couldn't have timed that better. And
Yeah,
Ronnie
that's good.
our friend Ronnie Fraser said we love Jake's food also. That's important.
well, cheesy plugs.
So I'm just well, it's too bad we're still struggling getting Julian's still having trouble getting here, but Julian Shadd-Gentry, who is was going to be joining us, he's MVP for the team.
Well, no, MVP for the league. Actually, he was voted the MVP for the entire league
Oh,
this past whenever the last week or maybe 10 days ago when they released the information. He was also offensive player for the league. So, and then, which was kind of odd and weird, but he had those two top accolades, and then he was the second team all-star for quarterback, which I don't get, because if he was the best in the league, he should have been first, but it's just how the voting process goes. And, you know, the league's addressing that. So, you know, little things like that don't come up again.
right. Yeah, so I see offensive player, and then we had who we got here, offensive lineman of the year, Daryl
Entau.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually kind of in reference back to what Matt Goulet was saying. He was a kid that came from the Toronto area, and he was at Lambton College, and we found him and asked him if he was interested in playing football, and so to which he is, and he's over the last couple of years he's moved back to the Windsor area. So he would be one of the kids that come from farther away to play for us.
Right. And before I get on to some more there, what was it that you spoke to you, Jake, and said, got to go out of town and do this? And why hadn't somebody done that before?
Well, as you know, I've kind of been part of the organization right from the onset. So I basically took over most of the duties in our, I think, second year. So just with, you know, you have so many years of being average, like a 500 team and whatnot, and you have to add some special talent. There's only so much that we have here in Sarnia. Any of the better football players out of Sarnia, they'd go away to play. So it kind of shone a little bit of a light to think, hey, you know what, what if we go away? And so I tried to find places that were farther. I started with London, and then I thought, well, if they're an hour away and they're willing to come, so then I kind of set the compass, if you will. What else is an hour? That brought me into Chatham, and then kind of so on and so forth. And then slowly people hear about it. Jason Reynolds has a great flag and touch football. I think it's just flag football league out of Chatham, and a lot of our players play out of that league as well. But they also have some Windsor guys. So then the Windsor guys started to hear about it a little bit, and you kind of have to do it. I mean, you know, as Matt said, 75,000 people, which I really think it's about 68,000 people, our population. But last time I checked, I think we were at about a 58% I think we're like 55 and older at 58%.
Right.
So
that narrows it down even more.
Yeah. And, you know, how many of those are kids that are under 18, and how many, you know, so it just, we're trying to pick from a small area. And so I needed to spread our wings so we could make sure that we included some of these other great athletes from, like, out of Wallaceburg, Kevin Ayler, Adam Hart, two great athletes that came out of Wallaceburg and have done so much for our team over the past few years as well. Fantastic.
And kudos to you for going out of your way to do that. We got a question from somebody watching, David Allen. So Michigan, can the Imperials recruit from the States, or is it Canadians only?
Actually, we have to ask permission of the league, because it's supposed to be a Canadian players only, Canadian citizens only. But because of our geographical setting, basically, you know, we have the lake over top us, the river right beside us. we can only really draw from 90% of Ontario, or 90 degrees of Ontario from our area.
Yeah.
So we have asked permission to allow U.S. players, and we've been able to secure 8 for the last few years. So we can sign up to 8 players, but they have to live within a 40-kilometer distance of Port Huron.
Oh, okay. He also wants to know if there's any cuts from the Detroit Lions that you can bring in.
I'll bring in whoever will let me.
Whoever will let you. Fantastic. So for those of you who don't know as well, and he won't bring it up, so I will. Jake Cherski was also your coach of the year, and you were also honored in 2015. And this is from this is the Sid Forrester Memorial. That's pretty honorable.
It is, but you know what? I really look at it as a coaching staff award, and I really think it should be. The staff works, close together. I'm not doing any one thing. I'm the type of coach where I let my offensive coordinator do whatever they want. I let my defensive coordinator do whatever they want. I'm just the guy that says yes to them, and we talk as closely as we can. But it's as much as I love it, and thank you, I appreciate it. But I truly think it's a whole staff award, and I think it should be a coaching staff award, especially in any sport that has more than one coach. Like,
right.
Let's bring up the Sarnia Sting, for example. Is it all Darian Hatcher? Well, he's got 2 position coaches, 3 being a goalie coach. He's got like a forwards coach, a defensive coach. He's the head coach. 3 of them sit on the bench. Why is Darian winning it when maybe the other guys were doing a great job? And I really think I think that type of award should be a coaching staff award. So hats off to the guys that helped me out throughout the year.
All right, fair enough. Our friend from way back, Ronnie Fraser, says, "Keep doing what you're doing, Jake. It's working." Coach of the year. He's happy for you. So that's awesome. Thanks. And for those of you who are watching, if you happen to be watching anywhere else than other on the show page, we are simulcast in now about 8 different locations throughout the world. We're broadcast right now in Australia, United Kingdom, South Africa, Ireland, throughout the United States and Canada as well. So if you want us to see your comments, you do have to come on over to the show Facebook page, the show with David Burrows, and otherwise we won't see your comments. Who else we want to talk about, Jake? We've got Ryan Lounsbury. He was a receiver from Sarnia. Offensive line, Adam McKinnon's in there. That's
Adam McKinnon is right there.
Hello, Adam, and congratulations on the award.
Thank you, sir.
Man, a few words.
Yeah, no, he. You know what? Adam McKinnon's been with us since 2006, the very first year. Adam McKinnon's played with 2 broken hands, literally casts on both hands.
Wow.
He's always been there. I think Adam's missed maybe only 2 or 3 games in the 14 years or 13 years. Very dedicated to the program, and he's hoping that we have win a championship this year so he can retire.
There you go out on top, right?
Yeah.
Let's I got to keep moving on here, but we want to make sure we get to everybody. Defense all-stars, Cody Burt, and then second team all-stars, quarterback, Julian again. Running backs, we got Donnie Portis. Receivers are Joshua Wright and Micah Moore. Did I say that right? Micah. And offensive line, Jamie Eldridge, Brandon Woolsey. Linebackers, Andrew McDonald. And defensive backs, Randy Trice. Wow. That's a long list from our team here. I say our team like it's like I had anything to do with it, but
you're part of the city. You got lots to do with it.
So this has got to be really motivational for the team. Let's talk about the upcoming season. And I know you've got to get going because you're at the shop, and I think you're going to be on CHOK on the sports show later today, right?
Yeah, at 5:30 today.
Yeah, so we got to get you going. Is this motivation? Is it motivation for the team to go, wow, we really got a great, awesome team. Let's go kick some butt.
I think for the most part, it's a pretty laid back team. And, we were touching on earlier how we pull players from far away. And that's probably my biggest struggle is when you get a few players from all the different areas, like we've mentioned, Port Huron, Windsor, Chatham, Wallaceburg, St. Thomas, Strathroy, London, all those and the surrounding areas from in between. It's hard to get the team together. you're talking about trying to get 50 guys together to do one function. It's hard to do community functions as well because, everybody's got different things going and the team's not as close. But what we do is we have our annual general meetings coming up on the 27th at the Navy Club. And that'll be our first meeting of the year. So we kind of hope to try to get everybody, show them a path. We release the schedule shortly after.
Right.
Because we get it from the league the day before. So it's one of those things where we try to put the team together just on paper there to see, what we have, who we have, where we got to build from, who's heard what. Because, unlike the Sting, if you will, we don't have billets. We don't all these, these are men that are working. They have their own kids and stuff like that. Although our average age, you talk to two of our veterans, our average age on the team last year was 23, 24 years old. So it's not like we're a bunch of old guys playing just the same. But it's one of those things that it's they're in the prime of their lives. They're starting their careers and stuff like that. So it's hard to pull them away. Hey, we got to do a parade, and it's hey, I'm busy. I got to work overtime. It's the weekend, and so that's probably the most frustrating thing with trying to recruit all these players from far away.
Sure,
it's harder to get them together.
Yeah. What about community support? Are the fans coming out and saying, "Go Imperials, go"?
Best fans in the league, always have been. We probably average anywhere, depending on the weather and whatever festivals are in town. As you know, the town that has nothing to do is busy every weekend in the summertime.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, we average. We have our regulars, if you will, and we average anywhere from 300 to 500 a game. We had just under 1,000 at the championship game. So a couple of years back when we hosted it. So when you look at that, heck, I'd like to have 1,000 at every game.
Sure.
We have the other teams in the league love coming to Sarnia because our fans are aggressive, our fans are loud, and when they play in their own town, like if you take GTA for example, there's just maybe 50 people there. When you take the other Raider team, so you're talking, they're in Toronto, they have 3 or 4 million people or whatever. And, when you go to Toronto and we have more fans that come from Sarnia,
that's cool,
than they have at theirs. Like our fans travel with us, our fans, it's if you were going to run a sports team or organization, you would definitely want the Sarnia Imperials fans.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been to a game in a long, long time. So and last time I was at a game was 1980. Anyway, it was a while ago. So I'm committed to you this year. I can't of course promise I'll make every game, but I will get out to some games, and let's keep this conversation regularly going, because I think we can still get some more fans out there to see the Sarnia Imperial football team.
Absolutely. And you know what? They deserve it. It's great football. They don't understand. If you YouTube Sarnia Imperials football and just take a peekaboo at some of the videos up there, you'll be astonished at what goes on. And
right on.
The talent level's great. We had a guy that was with us for a short time last year. He signed back with the Hamilton Ticats in the CFL. So
yeah, I remember that.
We're kind of, we're at that level where it's either it's the resting ground for some great athletes where they can extend their football careers a little bit. And it's also, where we try to feature them a little bit, and maybe they can move on to get a CFL contract or go overseas.
Right on. Good stuff. Jake, I gotta run along, and you gotta get ready for your interview. You'll be on CHOK. Go listen to that, folks. Coming up 5:30. You'll be on the Sports Show on CHOK. You can go to the dial 103.9 FM or CHOK.com. And Sarnia Imperials football once again will be on your TV, Sarnia, on Channel 6, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Jake, thanks so much, buddy. I'll be in to see you soon so you can fill my hunger up.
You keep threatening me this, but I need to see your face.
Okay, I will.
All right. Take care of yourself. Thank you.
Our friend Jake Cherski there stopping by. I have things making all kinds of noises. Everything in the technical world that can go wrong is going wrong. And it's live, so we got to keep going. Wow. All right, Jake Cherski, once again, Thanks for stopping by, Jake. And you can check them out online, the Sarnia Imperials football team. Of course, you'll find them on Facebook at Sarnia Imperials. And just Google them. You know how to find somebody if you want to, right? And we're going to be having more conversations with Jake Cherski and his team coming up in the near season. And as I said, you can listen to them coming up at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's today on Monday, January the 14th. They'll be on the sports show. Thanks again, Jake. And I will be in, I promise, this week. Jake joins me on the Sarnia Sting games as well. And I've been threatening to, as he said, to keep coming in for a couple of weeks. And I haven't made it, so I got to get in there before Friday, or I'm going to hear about it. All right. Well, equal rights. It's important. We all have rights, human rights, and some local ladies are fighting for women's equal rights. Now, as you'll see in this interview, this is a pre-recorded interview, but I had the time to catch up with these ladies. This isn't just all about women. It's about equal rights for women and equal rights for everybody. So I'm going to take you to that right now. There's a special march coming up on January the 19th. It's going to take place at the Lambton Mall, the old Sears parking lot area. And this is an important event, and it's not just for women to show up. This is for everybody who wants to come out and show up. You're welcome. Everyone's welcome. And we're going to catch up. Here I am multitasking again. I want to get this right. Earlier this week, as I mentioned, had this special interview. Adelle Stewardson, her daughter Claire Stewardson, and Lila Palychuk, and we're going to go to that right now. All right, well, special interview here tonight, and I'm really excited to be bringing this forward to all of you because I think it's something that's really important, and it's something that's going to be happening in our community you should be aware of. Equal rights. Do women have equal rights? I don't know. There's a lot of different opinions out there about equal rights and who has them or who doesn't. And some young ladies here are talking to us tonight about a women's march that's going to be happening here in Sarnia on January 19th. And we'll start with you, Adelle. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome. And can you tell us who else is sitting at the table here?
All right. Well, my daughter Claire Stewardson
Hi, Claire.
is here with us. And then we also have Lila Palychuk, who is an accountant in Sarnia and honor executive for our Sarnia-Lambton Women's March chapter.
All right. Welcome, Lila, and everybody here. I appreciate your time. This is obviously, I mean, the equal rights label itself obviously speaks volumes to what that's about. But there's really kind of a long way to go with this, right? And that's kind of what you're representing here, the Women's March. Talk about sort of how this came about.
Well, actually, for a little bit of the history, I think Claire could probably share how the march came to Sarnia.
So for my 11th birthday, me and my mom went to New York because I've always wanted to go there. And we went and there was a women's march going on, and so we decided to like tag along. And after the march, it was like a lot of fun. And so then when we came back to Sarnia, we talked to like friends and family and like talked about if it would be cool or like if it would be fun to have a women's march here, and they all liked it.
Right.
So
So was this something, did you know about the march when you went down there, or was this something you discovered while you were there?
we already knew about it. Like, I didn't know about it, but my mom did. And then, yeah.
So it was a surprise to you.
Yeah.
Right. Why is this important to you to be involved?
Because I believe that women should have the same rights as men, and that we shouldn't be treated differently, and like
have equal pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, equal pay. Yeah.
Have control over our bodies, and
right.
Claire and I had some interesting conversations actually during the march and during the rally and on the way home from New York about some of the signage we saw and some of the messaging that was there at the march, and it really resonated with our values, which are pretty progressive in that we feel that we want to protect what our sisters before us have accomplished in bringing equal rights in many of the aspects of our lives, but we still recognize that we have a ways to go. There's obviously a wage gap. There's a gap in representation and leadership in government for women.
Can you and that's a lot of areas, right? You know, and I think as I'm listening to you speak about it, and I've had other conversations with people in our community, I still myself am really surprised. Like I don't want to say that it doesn't exist because I've learned that it does, but I'm still very surprised. Are you, when you're having conversations, are you still surprised at the unequalness that's occurring out there?
Yeah, well, it's sometimes shocking, and I find that Claire will often bring up something that maybe I didn't think about because I grew up in a time when it was just commonplace for it not to be equal, but we didn't even recognize it because
normal.
It was normal. It was normal for women to be expected not to be the ones that make a higher wage than their husband, or are expected to be the ones that take care of the kids or stay off of their job and then suffer in trying to climb the corporate ladder when they have families at home. And I know that many female politicians have faced questions such as, well, how are you going to balance this with your young family life at home? And people don't ask young men who are running those questions. So that's very telling.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
in Claire's and my conversations, I really felt that I want things to be better for her and for her daughters and for her sons as well, because this is also a male issue. Toxic masculinity doesn't help our boys either. And we feel too that, Sarnia could use this because there isn't a very strong progressive voice yet, and we feel like there's a lot of women and allies out there who want to see us moving along a bit swifter. And
what about let's talk about men for a minute. Like men are involved in this as well, though, right?
Yes.
You're seeing some men step forward and participate in this and agreeing with and supporting with what you're doing. Lila, I want to come over and talk to you a little bit because we haven't really talked to you yet, and we'll come back to some of this stuff. But what's your role in all of this?
Well, I mean, my role right now is mainly as treasurer, so I track a lot of our finances and kind of the more practical aspects of what it takes to make all of these. You
got to have money to make
all
these
of these
things
big
work,
dreams
right?
happen. But speaking to men, a lot of the same issues affect men in a negative manner. For instance, women being expected to stay home and care for their children often results in men feeling a lot of pressure to not be able to spend time with their children and instead having to work. And that has kind of a far-reaching negative impact on everybody.
Sure. Let me ask this question, and I'm going to stir the pot just a little bit, but and in fact, my wife Jennifer and I just had a conversation recently about, so we have separated families or divorced families a lot. So communication between homes can sometimes be difficult. Income from different areas of the families can be something that's affected as well. There was a time when, like as you mentioned earlier, Adelle, where the man went to work and the women were expected to stay home and raise the children. How do we balance that now? If both mom and dad are working full-time jobs, sometimes they work full-time and also a part-time job to make things work, and then the children are involved in all of this. How do we balance that out?
Well, I don't think there are any easy answers as to how we balance that out. That's a long-term, difficult question. And we are seeing a societal movement right now that's happening where generally both parents are required to work to even make ends meet. And that's really not fair to anyone. So looking maybe more towards social programs that do allow both parents to spend a little bit more time at home would be beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what I was looking to hear about too, was that our governments need to get more involved in this type of thing as well, right? How do we advocate to them to say, obviously doing this march is one of the first steps, but it's the first step in a long journey to accomplishing what you're trying to get to, right? Yeah. So what's going to happen at this march on January 19th? Where's this happening?
So we are located in the Lambton Mall parking lot, right in front of where Sears used to be located.
Right.
The rally is going to happen directly in front of the Sears front doors, and then parking will be on our other side. The rally is going to consist of a few speakers from our community, and some of our executive members too, bringing words of welcome and kind of getting everybody pepped up and ready to march. Then from there, we will march down to basically down Lambton Mall Road to Exmouth, then to Murphy to London and back. Our after parties at Refined Fool.
Oh,
and,
perfect. You can warm up there afterwards.
Exactly, yeah.
Blackwater coffee's being supplied by
Oh, great.
Blackwater for us. And then of course Refined Fool has food and beverage there as well and for purchase. So it's just going to be a celebration and yeah, we're really excited about it.
Fantastic. Claire, can I come back to you for a minute? I know I think it's really great that you're involved with this. I mean, obviously, you know, your mother and your family's had some good positive influence on you. I think that's fantastic to see your young generation getting involved in this and learning about it and why it's important. But this is a little extra special for you, isn't it? Isn't it your birthday on January 19th?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be 12 years old. Are you excited for that?
Yeah, I'm really excited. And then I'm also going to have this sign, and it's going to say, all I want for my birthday is equality.
Perfect. That's awesome. Can I ask you, you know, you're obviously going to school. Do you see similar things, I guess, like this happening in your school between the children at your school?
Not really. Like, it's pretty equal there. And, like, my class, my teacher, he is all about equality.
Right.
And, like, we even, like, watch videos on it and stuff
awesome.
like that. And
That's what I was getting to. So you talk about this at school.
yeah.
Yeah. And I find that the younger generation in school right now are much more aware than we were at that age, much more aware because recognizing inequalities is something that's discussed in the classroom and not just of gender, but of, inequalities for women of color, women with disabilities, Indigenous women, women from LGBTQ community, and I think to talk about some of the principles of Women's March Canada is important too. And I wonder maybe if Lila wanted to expand on some of the principles that we're, really fighting for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everything that we do is that we operate within a HERS framework. So HERS, and I'm blanking on the last
H
one.
is for health. Yeah. So
we have health, education, sanitation,
economic security, and
representation and safety as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So in terms of health, we are looking at ensuring that all women have the same level of reproductive freedom, as well as just general health care is a little bit lesser for women.
Right.
We've seen a lot of studies come out where a lot of medications are tested exclusively on men, and then it turns out that they don't work the same for women. Go figure. In terms of economic security, that involves a lot of shattering the glass ceiling and getting more women into power positions in the workforce. Representation, we do have a Women in Politics panel, and our plan nationally actually is to encourage more and more women to get involved in local, provincial, and federal politics and to have them elected. In terms of safety, that's kind of the main focus of the march this year actually is ending violence against women.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that there are abundant shelters and abundant education to ensure that all women are safe.
Again, as I have this conversation with all of you, I hear some information that I wasn't aware of, and I go, wow, really? So you're already having an impact by creating some awareness by just talking about it, right? Which is how a lot of these things get started, and now, of course, with the march. What's beyond the march on the 19th? What's the next step in all of this, at least locally in our community?
Well, our focus is definitely on the march right now. We have had some participation in some things going on locally as well, and any time too in the future that there's a call to action, that there's something that really aligns with our values or doesn't align with our values, we're going to have a voice in that. And actually, Lila was involved in one of the activities that happened a couple of months ago now, almost, but in helping to advocate for a woman in our community who was kind of on her own in front of Dr. Singh's office. Sorry, what's his first name? I want
to. Right, because there's more than one.
Because I want to be. Yes, yeah. So, she wasn't getting a whole lot of support, and something that's very important to us, and one of our principles is to believe victims and support them. And so we had representation there with some support for her. We also participated in, help me out here, what else have we?
So we have had our executive member and just memberships participate and speak at both of the Trans Visibility Days in London. And a lot of our members were at the Trans Day of Remembrance at Grace United Church. Yep. We did a counter protest of the Right to Life people that were standing out in front of the Superstore. We were unfortunately outnumbered, but maybe next year we'll have a little bit more lead time.
It's okay. David took on Goliath too.
Yeah. And what else have we done? We supported Donna.
Lots going on.
Huddle,
It's fantastic. Yeah. So congratulations to all of you for being a part of this. And I know you have a lot of other people involved. You got an executive, and the community is starting to come around, and I think it's awesome that you've put this together. And Claire, happy birthday! Any final thoughts that you want to put in here before we close out?
We just want to make sure we get the word out that this is happening. Yeah. I mean, it's all over social media, but what we want to, we want likes, obviously, we want shares, we want actual people there that day. Yeah. And, if you feel that you can't march, that you just want to show up for the rally or just for the after party, that's fine too. Whatever you could participate in, dress warm, we're all going to be marching together. And
you have to register or just show up?
Just show up. And it's not just a women's event, right? Women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights. So we would encourage everybody to come.
I think that's a good point. I'm glad you said that, because I think sometimes it can come across as it's all about the women. This is equal rights.
Yeah, and allies are very important to us, and give us credibility, right, with their their friends and families and other males in their life. They, if they can advocate for what's right, it's, if you have a daughter, wouldn't you want her to have the same opportunities as your son?
Absolutely. Thank you all very much for being here. I really appreciate your time. And thanks to all of you for watching. This is important. It's happening on January the 19th. I'm sure you can find you on Facebook, right? Yeah. And we're going to share all that information in the comments below on this week's show. All right. Well, fantastic interview there. Thank you, Adelle and Claire Stewardson and Lila Palychuk, for joining us to talk about the Women's March here in Sarnia-Lambton. Women's March Canada going to have their march on January the 19th here at Lambton Mall, the old Sears parking lot. It starts 12 o'clock noon. They welcome everybody, men, women, children. Come on out and support the Women's March to start the journey on getting equal rights for women. And they said if you can't make it down there, they're going to be at Refined Fool on London Road after that. But get on out. Big numbers, right, is what they're looking for. And share. Go to their Facebook page. Share what's happening out there. Let's see, some people out there want to say Jamie McCabe for watching. She says, very informative. Looking forward to the march. And it looks like Jessica Kirsten. Everyone should join Claire, Lila, and Adelle on Saturday and help Claire get her birthday wish. I agree. And somebody else, we've got a few people out there commenting. So thank you for your comments. Get out there on Saturday. Yes, let's give Claire a wonderful birthday. Thanks again to Adelle, Claire, and Lila for joining me. Go to their Facebook page again, January 19th for the Women's March Canada. All right. Well, just to start things wrapping up. Wow, it's been longer than an hour show, but some really important things out there to discuss. So glad to be able to bring that to all of you. And if I can't join you, or you can't join me regularly when we're live or at any other time, or if you just don't like watching video, you can take me on the road with you. We are podcasts everywhere. We're on Anchor, we're on Breaker, we're on Spotify now. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever there's podcasts, the show with David Burrows is there, and you can download me and take me to work with you. and share with your friends at work, whatever. Really excited about that. Coming up later on tonight, another broadcast, myself and my son Jason. It's Father versus Son night on our Twitch channel. What is Twitch, David? It's a place where you can go and watch us play video games, and I also do a talk show on there as well. I'm live on Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern. Monday night is Father versus Son night, where my son and I play games, and I try to beat him. So that's entertaining. Tonight, I got a new game that he hasn't played yet, and I've been practicing. He'll probably still beat me anyway. So watch that tonight. Go to twitch.tv/Dav Burrows is my channel. Follow along there as well. And then tomorrow night, Twitch Talk, we talk about lots of things happening in the gaming world, including talk shows. It's not all about the games there on Twitch. Anyway, we have a lot of fun around here, don't we? There's the schedule. What else do I got to talk about? I want to make sure I didn't forget everything. Nope, I think I got it all. I want to say thank you once again to my special guests who joined me. Of course, you just saw Adelle, Claire, and Lila there talking about the Women's March. And then, of course, earlier on, we were talking with Don Adam, Executive Director for the Huron House Boys Home, having some financial struggles, and they're going to have some cutbacks there. Go online to hhph.ca to learn more about what's happening with them and how you can show your support. And then, of course, our friend Jake Cherski, and apologize we couldn't get Julian Shadd-Gentry on here, MVP for the entire league, and a lot of the players for the Sarnia Imperials football team having some great success and winning a lot of awards, and they're gearing up for another great, fantastic season. And you can join Jake and some of the others on the sports show on CHOK at 5:30 this afternoon. They will be talking about, well, the Imperial footballs again. You might hear some other things that are happening with them as well. So once again, that's all the time I got for you this week, everybody. Have a great week and an even better week, and I will talk to you next time right here on the show live. Bye for now.